Broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good morning and welcome. We're going to talk today about RMDs. Nice little kind of educational webinar, probably turn you on to some potential for some sales and certainly make you hopefully more valuable to your clients. So thank you for joining us at all. Joining us here today. My name is Steve Murray. I'm the Executive Vice President here at Insurance Agency Marketing Services. Our guest co-presenter is Dave Pimper. Dave, are you with us this morning? Sometimes he does join us a little bit late because he knows I take a little time up front. So he'll join us here shortly. So looking forward to a great webinar that's going to be hopefully educational. We'll try and get you in and out a little bit quicker than usual. So I'm going to zip through some things here from the start, and then we'll move into the heat of the webinar. So thank you all for joining us. There'll be a poll or two that will pop up. Certainly if you have questions that you want to ask, we'll try and get those answered as quickly as we can. It seems like we always have some around RMDs, so we're well open helping you with that. As what we always do here at IAMS, our goal is to help you grow your business, whether that's via training like today or it's via incentives with our conventions and things like that, or some of the training that we do face-to-face with our life and annuity academies, really trying all different ways to be of benefit and service to our folks that are kind enough to look to us for their business. So thank you again for joining us. And as we get started here, let me mention just a few things that we do here at IAMS that I think you'll find valuable. So first, many of you are aware of our RPM program. I just sent out the RPM checks yesterday. Really is a large stack of checks that we sent out, a relatively high amount. So if you have anyone, a colleague that you think might benefit from some of the things that we do here, we certainly appreciate that referral, and we'll let you know that with a quick thank you. But also, we reward you monetarily for your referral. So it's a pretty simple system. If you give us a name and that person gets contracted, we're going to send you a check for $50. And then as they do business, the real money starts flowing because we do a little override. Override is actually the wrong way to put it. We do a little bonus based on the business that they do. It doesn't come out of their pocket. They don't lose anything at all. They continue to get all the incentives and benefits that would be available to you. But we pay you a little bonus on their business as they do it. And those checks go out generally quarterly. Some do go out monthly now because they're larger, but generally checks for less than $1,000 will go out on a quarterly basis. So we appreciate your referrals in many ways, and that's really been the kind of the heart and the way that we've grown the business here at IAMS for the last 32, 33 years now. So we about 10 or 12 years ago started rewarding those financially. Another thing that we do that results in regular checks being mailed out on pretty much a daily basis is our marketing reimbursement. Very simple program. Again, when you do business, money goes in your marketing reimbursement account. When you do marketing, we help defer the costs of that. We basically match your spend dollar for dollar. So if that's something that you have not yet taken advantage of and you've been doing business with us, please call Chris Ramel and ask regarding your balance in your marketing reimbursement account. We'd love to help you with your marketing. We think that's the thing that separates a lot of folks from a good level of success to a great level of success, building a little bit of brand awareness for your own self in your area. We do have some folks on with us today that have not done business with us. They're just getting started with us. That's actually great. Thank you for choosing to look to IAMS for the opportunity to do business. This is a program that new producer builders that has been around for a long time and has really helped some guys as they're just getting started with us. So you can see you can elect that new producer bonus at various levels, and you can elect various bonus opportunities from helping us get you into the seminar business, help sending you and your guests on a nice travel deal. We can increase your marketing reimbursement account pretty notably. We do websites, cash bonuses, anything that you can pretty well think of that is kind of built around helping you grow your business or rewarding you for your business, we're glad to do. So for instance, if you don't see something on there, if you do build your business some other way and you want to know how this bonus system may apply to that, just give me a call. I'm glad to do something custom for you as well. Again, simple program. Any business you do with us during the first 180 days applies towards those levels and applies towards getting you those new producer builders. Back office support, as you all know, we do really well there, probably some of the best in the industry at that. So from the submission to commission processing of your business, you're going to be really pleased with what you get. And I only know that because I get it constant feedback from our guys in the field as to how much better we are than where they came from. So we put a lot of emphasis on that. We want to make sure that we're helping you get through the process as quickly and as efficiently as possible. And we've got people dedicated here in our office doing just that. 7, 8, 9 hours a day, 5, 6 days a week. So whatever we can do to help you get your business through there, we're going to do it. Creative marketing solutions. Think of our creative team as your own personal advertising agency. If you think of them that way, you'll know that when you're talking to them that they're efficient. You know that they know your business and they've been working with folks just like you that build their business the same way that you do. So they got a lot of stuff, a lot of knowledge base in the background, and a lot of actual collateral that they've already produced that they can brand up for you, and they've got ideas for branding and Facebooking and emailing that can help you grow your business. So think of that little group over there as your own little personal advertising agency. If you think of them that way and talk to your sales directors as to how we can help you with that, I think you'd be pleased with the results that you can see from our marketing team. IAM's website, a lot of stuff out there, more stuff to come. So we'll soon have an instance of Fireline out there so you can go ahead and do all of your apps. If you want to do e-apps, you'll be able to do them right off with all of our carriers right from our website. So that'll make your life a lot easier. We also have the sales resource library, which everyone that I talk to that gets in there is just amazed by the resources available to you that are really built to help grow your insurance and asset management businesses. So if you haven't looked at that at all, I encourage you to do so, only because I get such great feedback from our guys in the field that actually take advantage of it. There's a lot of stuff in there. If you go in and spend half an hour there, believe me, you'll find 3, 4, 5 things that you can use in your prospecting, working with your clients, give you a couple ideas that maybe you didn't have before. A lot of great stuff in there. And there's a lot of other good stuff just on the website in general. If you want to do some annuity comparisons or find out what the best MIGA rates are, we've got that kind of an annuity search system that we call the quote engine. If you're looking for life insurance quotes, you can find all the best companies and products, and again, compare the top 2 or 3 to show your clients. So really great stuff out there that you can use. I would encourage you, if you have a few minutes, just call your sales director up and say, hey, walk me through the website a little bit. Show me what it is that I can use to help grow my business, and they'll kind of cut through the chaff and find the stuff that's just right for you. Retirement Analyzer, a nice little tool. If you have not talked to Marcus Soller here in our office and you're looking for a program that can help you work with your clients, kind of see where they are on their retirement journey, where they're going to fall short, where they're going to land long, making sure their risk tolerance is set up right in their portfolio, if you're working with them on that, and just finding where the holes might be in their towards them reaching their end result, which is a comfortable retirement. Then Retirement Analyzer is a tool that you can definitely use. We're making that available to our guys and gals at no cost right now. So if you want to get in there, try it out. Marcus will walk you through that, show you how to use it, see if it's a good fit for you. If it is, great. That's, if you went out and purchased that on your own, you'd be paying $50-$60 a month for it with the initial startup fee. We're going to make that available to you at no cost. So take advantage of that. If you haven't used something like that, I think you'll be pleased. Wealth management, I'm going to shoot up just a really quick poll here. I want to get moving along as fast as we can. But if you have interest in talking to the folks over at the wealth management team, hit yes on this poll, and here's some reasons that you may want to talk to them based on my experience with guys that have come over to them. So their fees that they charge on a monthly basis are notably lower than what guys are used to. So if you feel like maybe your current RIA's fees are too high and you want to learn a little bit more about what they do and how they do it, I'd mark yes on that poll. Our payouts are 1% or better. And there's a lot of companies have like a gridding system where they say, okay, you get 20% or 80% of that 1%. We pay it all out to you. So the payouts for the folks that do business through IAMS Wealth Management, a little higher than they're used to. In fact, for some guys, it's quite a bit higher than what they're used to. So if you're not happy with that, or you think you want to talk a little bit about that with the folks who are at IAMS Wealth Management, hit yes on that poll. From a service standpoint, we handle a lot of the service on the IAMS Wealth Management side, much like we do on the insurance side of our business. So most guys are not used to that at all from their RIA. So you'll be pleasantly surprised with the level of service and help that they give you on each and every case. Joan and Mike do a great job with that. Again, I hear a lot of feedback that guys and girls just not used to that from their RIA that they were at before. And finally, for those of you that may be thinking about getting a Series 65, about 2/3 of the folks that are with IAMS Wealth Management are folks whose background was primarily insurance, and they've helped them through that process and made it as easy as it possibly can be. So if that's something that you're thinking about and you want to see what the process is and how we can make that easy for you, then you'll want to check yes on that poll. Otherwise, if none of those things really fall into your realm, just check no on that poll. And I see most of you have already responded. I appreciate that. And it looks like we got 7 or 10 of you that haven't yet voted. So I'll give you just a second to do that yet. But if you're looking for better support, better payouts, a little bit lower costs, and maybe if you're just thinking about getting your 65, which maybe you should be right now, I can see the momentum growing again for the best interest DOL type of thing. And I think you're probably going to be over the next year or two going to be subject to that. So more and more folks, I think, are going to want to get their 65. So with that, I'm going to close that poll out. Thank you all for voting so quickly. Certainly appreciate that. I'm going to close that poll out and get moving along here. 2-day training. So our next one scheduled is September 18th through the 20th. That's a Wednesday through a Thursday. You can kind of see what we cover there. What it doesn't say there is that we're going to cover all your costs for that. So we'll cover your travel, we'll cover your hotel, we'll cover your meals and social hours while you're there. So the hard dollar expenses are going to be taken care of for you. It's going to be 3 days out of your office. You'll be out Wednesday through Friday. And the next one that we're going to hold is going to be in Des Moines. If that's something that you have interest, you can kind of read there some of the things that we talk about, and I'm going to do a quick poll on that as well. So if you have not been into one and you have some interest, certainly hit yes on that poll. And when you hit yes, what'll happen is you'll get an email. It'll come from Chrissy Galeos, and basically that email will show you a day-by-day itinerary, so you can see kind of the things that we cover on a day-by-day basis, and then a registration form. So if you look at the itinerary and say, hey, that's good stuff, I would like to join in on that, then you want to look at the registration form. Once you send that registration form in, then we'll call you. So we may try and squeeze another one in this summer besides the one we have coming up in the fall. If we do that, then we'll give you a call and say, hey, does the scheduling work for you? If it does, great. If it doesn't, that's okay too. We'll call you on the next one. So you're not making any commitments by hitting yes on this poll. You're not making even any commitments by returning the registration form, but it just actually kind of gets your name in the pool of folks that get invited. So that's what that's all about. If that's of interest to you, hit yes on that poll. If you've been in the last couple of years, I would prefer that you hit no and give me a call. I know that a lot of people want to come back and kind of get a second dose of that. Certainly I understand it, and I think that it sometimes can be beneficial. But if you would hit no on that poll for me, then just give me a call after the event here at 800-255-5055. We can talk through that. I really want to give folks that haven't been in, that are doing business with us or interested in doing business with IAMS, a chance to come in and see that information. But we're certainly open to the possibility of bringing you back in. So you can know what we cover. We got 4 top producers that come and they do a little presentation on some great, each of them some separate things that they offer, from seminars to radio, to great product intros, to kind of a banking on yourself approach that will be very beneficial. We'll also talk a lot about the practice management, the sales, more the marketing parts of your business. We'll have somebody from the creative department there going through what they do and how they do it. We'll talk about product for sure. It's not a major part of the event, but we'll certainly spend some time talking about product so that you can kind of get your product information sharpened up just a little bit. But this is not product 101. This is really more sales and marketing 201. So if that's kind of where you're at in your business and you want to grow your practice and do a little bit better on the marketing side of your business, want to commit to that, then the Life and Annuity Academy is going to be a great fit for you. I see that most of you, again, have already voted. We appreciate that. For those of you that haven't voted, that's okay too at this point. I'm going to close that poll out because I do want to get moving along. If you haven't voted and you have a vote that you would like to put in, or you'd like to get yourself on the list for folks that want to come in and potentially join us at one of the upcoming academies, again, you see the number there. It's 800-255-5055. You can call myself. Again, my name is Steve Murray. Any one of our sales directors, we're glad to get you on the list. By all means. So I'm going to close that poll out. Thank you all for voting. Just a few of you didn't vote. That's okay. In this instance, I'll assume that's probably a no, and we'll close that out. Okay, we'll get moving right along here. So we're coming right to the close of qualification for our Top Producer Summit. That's down at the Ritz-Carlton in Naples, Florida. Great location, great hotel. So we're going to have a nice social opportunity for you and your guests. I'm looking at a list of attendees here this morning. Just a quick glance at it. I see we've got a number of you that are kind of on tap and getting relatively close. Remember that qualification closes out here at the end of June. I know many of you are in the mid 2 millions in terms of points. It does take 3 million points to qualify. You can see how you acquire those points there on the screen before you. 3 million of annuity, it takes 1.5 of MedSup premium, 2.2 of SPL, 250,000 of life target, 600,000 of long-term care. Any combination, every one of those gets you points. Any combination of those is going to get you there. So if you got some business that you're working on and you need some help to kind of close that out here before the end of June and get qualified for you and your guests down for a few days in beautiful Naples, by all means, give your sales director a call. Let us know how we can help you. We'd love to have you and your guests join us. We'll be announcing very soon also our next location for our next event as well. So love to have those of you that are on the cusp join us. If you're still a ways back, but you think you might have a chance at getting there by the end of June, give us a call. We'd love to help you. All right, now we're going to talk about required minimum distributions. Dave, have you joined us?
Absolutely.
Thank you, Dave. We've zipped through this as quick as we can. I told the guys we'd try and get them out at a reasonable hour. So I just want to give you all just a quick background on Dave. For those of you that don't know, Dave, of course, has been coaching with us for about 13 years now. He's coached our producers on practice management, Social Security, qualified funds, seminars, radio. And what I would say is, in the end, what our guys have appreciated most about Dave is the quality of the information, the quality of the coaching, and the fact that you're actually coaching and working with someone that's actively producing. So it's a great combination for us, great benefit to our guys. Dave, thank you for joining us again today. I know you've got a schedule heavy with appointments today. I appreciate you taking some time to join us here.
No problem. Thank you, Steve. And thank you, everybody, for being on the call with us. We've got tons of people want to know about RMDs. So if there's any questions throughout the presentation, certainly type those on in, and we'll be more than happy to answer those at the end. Yeah, we got a lot of people with us today, so there's a lot of interest within that RMD segment. And so what I'm going to do today, and if you're an absolute expert in RMDs, some of this might be kind of elementary to yourself, but many people, there's a lot of fuzziness when it comes to required minimum distributions. And again, I think what happens is in our business that knowledge is power. Just knowledge alone, having a great knowledge base as an advisor, that is great, but have that in front of nobody and you're just a real smart advisor with no money. If you really, really, really work hard, you're in front of a lot of people and you've got that knowledge, that's where very successful advisors end up. So let's talk about required minimum distributions, kind of knowing what to do with those. And again, if you've got any questions whatsoever, certainly bring those up. So I'm going to try to forward this, Steve, to see if this works, if I got the controls or not. We'll get technology working for us. Good, good. So I think that they are working now, or I hope they are. Okay, so let's go in. Let's go in. Steve, are you there or not? I'm trying to figure this out here.
Yep. Yeah, I am.
For some reason, I'm having trouble with.
Slide
Are you
advance.
doing that, or am I doing it?
You're doing it. Yep.
I am doing it?
Yep.
Okay. All right. So let's do this. I'm looking here. So.
You want a page back?
Well, you know what? I'm just looking. I want to see the page back and page front.
There you go.
So that should go page back. See if it pages back for me. Perfect. Okay, I got it now. Technology is not my strength. It's information about financial services.
Sure it is,
Okay.
Dave.
So let's go in and talk about RMDs just in general, okay? So required minimum distributions. The government came out quite a few years ago and said that on your qualified traditional retirement accounts, so that's IRAs, 401ks, 403bs, 457 government deferred comp, SEPs, simples, HR plans, all of those types of plans have a required minimum distribution at the age of 70 and a half. That means that the government is forcing you to go in and take money out and have it taxable. So they gave you a break going in. You got a tax deductibility. You're able to defer that money all the way through the years. And now when you reach 70 and a half, they're going to force you. You're going to have to start taking out a yearly withdraw. And how they do that is wherever whatever the balance was on December the 31st of the year before, they're going to go on in and look at that balance. Say it's 100,000, and then the very first year it's actually 3.65%. So there's 3,650 that has to be taken out by the end of the next year. So if you looked at 218 balance of 100,000, it would have to take out by December the 31st of 2019. Now, what happens is the very first year with RMDs, you actually can wait until April the 1st of the next year to take out. They give you that basically 3-month leeway, but I will say this, then you're forced to take the next one out at the end of that year for this year. So what happens, you're going to have 2 distributions, taxable distributions in the same year, and most people do not want to do that. Okay? So that's what we're talking about right here. Only the first year will that April 1st come into play. After that, it's always what is your balance from the year before, and then what is going to be the balance of the next year. So how you go in and you figure out the balance, let's say it's $100,000, and they actually have a life expectancy factor that we'll show in the next chart. But if you divide that your dollar amount by 27.4, so that's the factor. So I'll go in and show you this, the factor here on the very first year. See here, 27.4. That average is 3.65%. That's really what that's the first year. So 3.65% needs to come out and needs to be taxable from those traditional accounts, okay? And so about every 5 years, it goes up 1%. Every 5 years, and it goes to 1%, and then it goes to 1%. So by the time that you're 90, you're basically taking out 9% of your money. How this was derived is the majority of your money would be taken out by the time that you pass away. And it depends on the type of return or losses you're getting in your account, but it's forced money coming out. The government wants a payback on the money that they let you get tax deferred and tax deductible when it went on in. So let's talk kind of about the key rules. So first of all, they're traditional. Doesn't include a Roth, doesn't include a personal or a single account. It's traditional, I call it qualified. I'm including IRAs, SEPs and simples, 401ks, 403bs, etc. And remember that the first year that you can take that as late as April 1st, but all subsequent RMDs, of course, need to be taken out on the 31st. So again, I'm going to go back on this. You got $100,000 in your total, all your IRAs together, and they are that as of the end of 2018, December the 31st of 18. You've got to take out by December the 31st of 19 that 3.65% or $3,650. Okay. Now, and I call this caveats. So they're not exceptions, but with the 401k, it talks about if you own more than 5% of the company. So normally that is not the case. What happens is that We talked about that, delaying it. And yeah, so we've really gone over all the caveats there. I did that in the previous slide. So taking the money from the right account. So let's say you've got 5. Let's say that you go in and you've got 1 401k that's dormant. You left it with the company, and you got 4 IRAs, traditional IRAs. And the 4 traditional IRAs, they're 25,000 each, adding up to 100,000, and the 401k is 200,000. It's interesting because if it's in a 401k platform, that money has to come out of the 401k alone. It can't, for that 401k can't be combined with other 401ks. It can't be combined with other IRAs. It has to be done alone. The IRAs, they can all be combined in, I guess it's combined, not combined. They can all be combined, and you can take it out from one of your IRAs, 2, 3, or 4. Doesn't make any difference whatsoever. So let's say, just say for example, you got 100 grand, you got to take out $4,000. You could take out 1,000. You could take out 2,000, all 4,000 from one. It doesn't make any difference just as long, but the government does want the 401ks to be calculated separately. Remember, Roth IRAs, there is no RMDs that need to be taken out, that are forced to be taken out. Penalties are one of the worst penalty in financial services. If you miss by a day, if it comes out on January 1 instead of December 31st, which is the last day it can be taken out, if you're supposed to take out $4 grand, your penalty is $2,000, 50% of what's supposed to be taken out, and then to kick you in the behind, now all of it's taxable. It's a very, very harsh penalty imposed by the IRS. Now, let's take a look about exceptions. Well, that's, again, and you can look down to you can go in and look down to the third one. It says if your clients are still working beyond age 7.5 and you don't own 5% or more of the company that they work for, they can avoid taking their RMDs. I just ran into one yesterday where she's 73, she's still working for Target, and we actually rolled over her 401k through a in-service non-hardship withdrawal plan, but she did not have to start taking out withdrawals because she was 73 and still working, considered full-time, even though it was 30 hours, still considered full-time. Yeah, it's pretty cool. She's going to be retiring in 3 months, but she came to me. She didn't think that she had availability of her money. She wanted to work with me, and an in-service non-hardship withdrawal plan is, I call it that. Actually, if you're 66 or over, what she was, and I called the custodian to make positive, but if you're 66 years older, you can always, virtually always, take the money out of the 401k plan anytime that you want to. But there's also a 59.5 rule called an in-service non-hardship withdrawal. Target also had that. And we have an educational IAMS seminar series on in-service non-hardship withdrawals. If you're not using those, you should be, because they're an extremely great way to I would say that probably every other week I probably work with some kind of in-service non-hardship withdrawal, or they're still working for the company and taking the money like yesterday. Yeah. Okay, so if any questions, certainly type them in, and I'll be more than happy to go in and answer those for you, okay?
Dave, I thought your last bullet point there, you didn't touch on it, but I thought that was notable. If you can switch back.
Yeah, I will. I absolutely will, Steve. Did I miss it?
Yeah,
so,
yep.
So you must still take an RMD from your old 401k, that?
Yes, and the workaround.
And the workaround. Yeah, so here's what happens is that, and I'm going to read this and I'm going to explain it. So we talked before about you still need to take RMDs from your old 401k. It can't be combined. It has to be itself. And this is, but there's a workaround for that. If your current employer's 401k allows money to be rolled into the plan, you could roll in the other accounts to postpone all of the RMDs. And that is correct. So let's just say if you're working for, you're past the age of 70, let's say, and you don't want to take RMDs, could you go in and roll that money into your current 401k plan as long as you're still working there and avoid all of your RMDs? Absolutely, you can. You can. You don't have the flexibility in a 401k that you do an IRA, but you could absolutely do that, and you could go in and not have to take your RMDs. Yeah, good catch, Steve. Okay. If there's any questions on that, certainly type those in. I'd be more than happy to answer those for you. So this is a little bit outdated. Oh, no, it's right, 130. So range from 125 to 130. So this is correct. But a qualified longevity annuity contract, a QLAC, if you've not heard about that, you should. QLAC is an option for the client to defer RMDs. They can defer up to 25% or 130,000, whichever is less, in a qualified longevity annuity contract. And all a QLAC is it is a insurance contract that has basically a guaranteed interest, a minimum interest that is paid to that. And what happens is that you can't stop the RMDs permanently, but you can defer up to the age of 85. So you could take it before that if you want to, but at that time, now that money that was deferred, you will have to pay RMDs on that. Personally, I'm not a huge QLAC fan, but I tell you what it does. It gets when I'm at a seminar and I bring this up that there is the chance for deferral, I will tell you what, we do get people to come in. I've absolutely worked with, a few, probably several people that came in only for the QLAC, did do the QLAC, but we worked with other monies that they had. But it's something to look at. Steve, a question about QLACs, if you're there. Are they getting more competitive, or are they about the same as they've always been since they've come out a couple, 2-3 years ago?
There hasn't been a lot of improvement there, unfortunately. What Dave's referring to is the fact that the interest rates that the companies apply to those have not been great, and the payouts have not been real strong. So it takes away some of the benefit of delaying that RMD. You feel like you may be losing some returns that you might have gotten. That being said, I do believe that somebody at some point, I know about 3 carriers that offer them, but I'm certain that at some point somebody's going to come along and get fairly competitive with this. I really don't know why they're not more so now, but that's, unfortunately, you are absolutely right on that, Dave.
But if they did, if they got a little more competitive on interest rate, I mean, it would be it's a win-win situation.
Absolutely.
Then,
Yep.
Then you've got a nice deferral plan with guaranteed interest.
Yep.
And you're deferring your RMDs, which means you're saving all that tax money. If those two things work together, all of a sudden, now it's something that I would absolutely show to everyone that has a fairly good size or fairly large retirement plan in traditional money. So I think it's at least something to look at, and it's a case where a lot of people don't want to take those RMDs.
Right.
I have a good share of people that invest it back, but if they could keep it in there on something like this, that's a win-win situation. So yeah, I think that QLAC gets a little more competitive from the amount of interest, that it could really be something, a very, very competitive product that most people don't know is available. Because you know what, I kind of remember, Steve, the government was all for this.
Yep.
They put their blessing on it, and it made a big emphasis, a big splash.
Yeah.
And now you don't hardly hear anything about it, do you?
No, and that's because the products weren't nearly as competitive as it seems like they could have been. I think companies are still tiptoeing around trying to figure out how to price them.
Well, you and I should start an insurance company because if we could give Steve, if we give other kind of products, I mean, the same kind of product.
Right.
I mean, it's no different than kind of an immediate annuity that has an end to it, or a fixed annuity that has an end to it, and they're much more competitive than what this is. I think we could go in and start our own company, and this might be a real winner for us. What do you think?
Okay, let's go. Stop by and we'll work it out.
Okay, I may not have enough money to start that though. So okay, well let's go. We'll go into the next slide. So if you got any questions, certainly go in and type them in, and we'll be more than happy to answer those for you. Contributing to a Roth IRA. Yeah, just remember that Roths do not have RMDs, required minimum distributions. So husband and wife, say that the guy's Roth dies first, it automatically goes to the wife on a spousal privilege. She dies. Now there is RMDs, required minimum distributions, for the children as her primary beneficiaries, but of course those are RMD'd. If you extend it out, they're RMD'd, with no taxation on that. So it's a case here. There's a difference in when you designate a Roth account like a 401k or a 403b, those have to be taken out, specifically from those alone as their own entity. But once they go into an IRA, what happens is that you can, of course, combine them down the road. Okay, from a Roth standpoint. So I don't want to go too much into Roth because there's not nearly as much Roth there's talking about RMDs. They're mostly from the traditional side. But I just wanted to make sure that you knew that from a tax-free Roth, there is certainly RMDs when both the husband and the wife dies, but then when it goes to the kids. And then, like traditional, they've got the choice of whether they're going to go in and inherit that money. So they're taking out smaller distributions, or they're taking it and paying taxes all at once. I mean, there's some different options that are available there. So some of this we've already gone through. Owned at least 5 years, doesn't come up very often. It says another Roth solution to say goodbye to RMDs, and we talked about with Roths that there are not RMDs until it goes into after the husband and the wife have passed and it goes into the kids, but it's not taxable. Roth conversions, I will say this, on RMDs from traditional money, let's say the person, for example, this lady yesterday, she's going to work part-time. May not be at Target, but she's going to work part-time when she retires at 73. Well, she'll have to start taking RMDs out of this pretty good sum of money, and she said, I really don't need the income. Well, we're going to go in and reinvest those RMDs. And so, and I know that, Steve, I just had where, there's a financial strategy from a fixed index side with one of your carriers that I used here that actually for the first, I think, 5 years, for the first 5 years, there was a 6% bonus on every contribution going on that fixed index annuity with a pretty competitive 1 year point-to-point cap rate. Well, the person that's putting in their RMDs really, really liked that idea because they're going to do it each year. So there's certainly there's certainly things that your annuity marketers there can certainly help people with to try to customize the right plan for them.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so as we're kind of going in and we're finishing here, transferring. Let me go back on that about transferring in kind. So most companies, not all companies, but most companies, if you go in and you get XYZ investment or XYZ annuity, and say it's worth $100,000, you got to take out, I'm just making this up, you got to take out, say it's $4,000. What happens is that you could take that in cash, but you may be able to go in and put that $4,000 into pay the taxes on it, and then roll that into another investment. And it's the exact same. It's the exact same security. So and normally that's done from going from a retirement account into a conventional taxable account. So that in-kind strategy, and we talk about if the market's down, now with fixed indexed or fixed annuities, it's not going to make a difference because your value can't go down. But if you are securities licensed and the pricing of that security is down, now you're buying, what happens is that the in-kind, you don't want to sell it when it's low, so you're just transferring the value when it's low. So is that going to happen much within the insurance business? Not as much, but it is available, and it's something that I thought we probably should just bring on up, that could be something that is worthwhile to that client. So surviving spouses. So I'm going to read this. Any surviving spouse who is designated as beneficiary may elect to roll over the descendant's IRA or plan account into their own IRA or plan account. That's called a spousal privilege. It's just as if they owned it the entire time. A surviving spouse who is the sole designated beneficiary of the descendant's IRA may elect to treat the descendant's IRA as their own. Yep, just as if it's their own. See, if the surviving spouse is a sole and holds this as IRA or plan account as an inherited plan, the surviving spouse uses the attained age method and re-enters. Yeah, so only reason they would do this is if, say, it's the man and he was a lot older or younger, and they want to keep the old or keep the new as far as the inherited. They can go on in and use that to their benefit. And again, this gets pretty complicated and kind of walk things out. But just know that surviving spouses, because most of the time there's a spousal privilege, and they can take that money as if it was always their own from the very, very beginning. So that is something to consider. You know, if there is a death of one of the spouses and it goes to the second spouse. And we talked here about the aggregation rules, how 401k is different. They're separately than traditional IRAs. You can combine traditionals, IRAs, but you can't combine company qualified plans like a 401k.
And Dave, I saw a couple times there it mentioned that the surviving spouse had to be the sole beneficiary. So if the wife was 75 and the kids were 25, would that preclude that from happening, or could she still do that on
No,
her?
it has to. No, she has to be the sole. She has to be the sole beneficiary. She can't be the co-beneficiary on that. If they do a co-beneficiary, then they're going to go in with the older person always. They're never going to go in with the younger from an inherited IRA.
Got it.
From an inherited IRA. That's right. Yeah, there's a lot of information on those slides, and what happens is that the big thing here is to know that with required minimum distributions, that they're forced upon us by the U.S. government at 70 and a half. You do have you have an option the first year, but after that, the account, and you just use a uniform life table is what you use to have the factor of how much money is going to come out. And if you have any questions, you can certainly call IAMS. You can certainly call myself. You know, what happens is, and I have a 401k IRA rollover seminar that we cover the high points of this within the seminar, and there's a lot of rollover money available right now. I mean, people are retiring from baby boomers left and right, just like with this gal yesterday. But I'm 4 short of 500 public seminars that I've given, and what I try to do, this is a kind of a complicated subject, and I think some of the information on the slides even make it more complicated. But what happens is that I try to make it, if we're talking one-on-one, and to try to take kind of complicated subject and narrow it on down. And you know, we do a lot of Social Security seminars also. It's kind of a hot subject. It's a very misunderstood subject. And so with a lot of my seminar marketing, we'll have 5 coaching sessions if you pick 401ks or you pick Social Security. And what happens is, and we want to talk just about seminar marketing in general, the 401k has a meal included in it, which is a cost to you, but the Social Security is a non-meal. And we're actually working on some social media marketing right now that has a cost advantage to it. We're testing it. I'm in my second test in June, but if that works well, we're going to roll that out, you know, to the crowd, and that's a pretty big savings on dollars to get those 35 or 40 people there. So as we're kind of summing it up here, I'm a big believer of not procrastinating. And what happens is that there's a saying that says, procrastination is my sin. It brings me constant sorrow. I really shouldn't practice it. Perhaps I'll stop. Tomorrow never comes. Don't let that happen to you. And Steve Murray, if you heard something today, but Steve's going to bring up a slide if you would like to get more information, you know, on required minimum distributions or seminar marketing, or we have a radio show now called Retirement Boss Radio that we just rolled out about 2.5 months ago. We have already 6 or 7 cities throughout the U.S. that the show is being broadcast on. So we have a lot of different marketing ideas for the producers out there. And Steve, can you launch that poll? And then they can go in if they'd like to get more information on the specifics of RMDs, then they certainly can. So Steve, I'll kind of turn this over to you and see if there's any questions or anything else before we finish the webinar.
Perfect. And Dave, I really don't think you should be running around Fremont painting traffic signs like that.
Yeah, you know what? I did that in a hurry too.
Yeah, you did. Just barely fit on there. Let me see if we have any questions for you. So, you know, and I had this come up. So, people can handle their RMDs in many different ways. The question is, if someone annuitizes their funds in one IRA, can the payout for that annuitization count towards all of their RMDs or a portion of their RMDs with their other accounts? And Dave, I ran into this recently, so the answer to that question is no, and I didn't know this either. So if it's annuitized for any reason, then basically that kind of cordons off that particular IRA account, and those, even if that amount is in excess of what would normally be your RMD for that year for all of your IRA accounts, it doesn't count towards those. So you still have to take RMDs from your unannuitized accounts.
Very interesting. I had a 50-50 chance to get that one right, and I would have guessed it wrong. I would have thought it would have counted. So it just goes on. It goes upon itself, right?
Yep. You're right about that. And
very good information.
Yep. And one place where that did. So as you all know, we do a lot of transitioning of qualified funds into SPL products, and that's what SPL products do with qualified funds. Is they'll take and divide the qualified funds into 7 or 8 or 9 or 10 equal payments, and they do that via annuitization. So I've had that come up, and I know that we've probably answered that question incorrectly maybe in the past, in years past, because what those companies do is they put that into an immediate annuity, and that does not count for your other RMD. So it only counts for the RMDs or for those particular IRA accounts. So keep that in mind if you're using the Baltimore product on a qualified funds, roll over into an SPL product. Next question from Lynn. Are the rules the same if it's an inherited IRA?
So read that again.
What Lynn's question is she basically says, are the rules the same if it's an inherited IRA? So if we understand yep, go ahead.
Yeah,
Dave.
I got it. I know. Yeah. So what happens is RMDs are set up 2 ways. You've got the life expectancy table for a regular RMD, but if it's inherited, you also have a table that goes in with the factors. But the RMDs are figured up a little bit differently with inherited IRAs than they are with the regular RMDs. You don't use a life table. There's the uniform life table. So it's similar, but there is a little bit difference in that. So and if she wants more information, then we can certainly get that for her.
Sure. Let's hope if we didn't answer that question, Lynn, just as you had intended, or had a question maybe that we didn't answer about that, certainly give us a call here. Next question is from Frank. Wouldn't QLAC deferral place more tax liability on inheritors of parental IRAs?
Okay, so say that question again.
Wouldn't QLAC deferral place more tax liability on inheritors of parental IRAs? The simple answer to that is yes, obviously, because you're deferring it.
There is.
Yeah.
That's right. You are deferring it. But you know what? What you're doing is on that entire time, you're not taking taxes out of it. So it's growing. It's growing a specific guaranteed amount, and you're not paying taxes on it. So it's like I have a slide in my Social Security seminar. How do you want to avoid paying taxes on Social Security? Don't take it till you're 70.
Oh, sure.
If you don't take it, you're not paying on it. It's the same way here. So those inherited people, when they get it, they're going to have it's certainly a bigger sum they're going to have to pay on. But what happens is that it has grown and you haven't paid taxes. So you could either pay on a lot less amount, but there's a lot less amount to get, or have a much bigger amount. I would rather have a much bigger amount.
Sure.
If I was the inheritance, the person inheriting the estate. You bet.
You betcha. Yep. One thing that I'll mention too, because we run into this, especially with, everybody, kind of the subject matter here, everybody wants to avoid RMDs if they can. I mean, almost nobody ever gets to 70.5 and says, hey, I really need it. It just seems like people always want to avoid that. And one way that we've got a couple of plans that I'm thinking, like Athene's got a plan called the Benefit 10, where basically the way that it's set up, you can put money into that plan. You can take your RMDs, but there's a guaranteed growth feature where, at least for death benefit purposes, if your client's inheritors, beneficiaries are willing to take that over a 5-year time frame, it actually replaces more than what you take out via your RMD. So you're still taking those RMDs, you're still paying taxes on them, but ultimately what gets passed to your heirs is actually greater than the amount that you would have put into the annuity at age 70 or 69 or whenever you put it in there. It's a kind of and they have a specific illustration designed around that. So if you run into clients with RMDs that really don't want it because they want to pass as much as they can on to the kids, that's a great way to show them how, hey, we can't avoid RMDs all the time, but at least we can get that same amount or more money passed on to the kids. It's a nice little illustration that is a nice sales approach that if you haven't looked at it at all, you might find interesting. So,
Steve, you know what we could call that instead of RMD friendly, that's RMD death friendly.
Why do you always have to take that? You make that sounds negative now, Dave.
No, it's not positive. Upon death, because you're already getting that tax-free money coming in.
Super friendly, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm guessing that people are going to drop off like flies with this little interchange, but actually we don't have any more questions popping up, so we must have done an okay job on explaining the basics of RMDs. Certainly if there are other questions or something that got mentioned here piqued an interest for you, whether it's in radio or Social Security seminar or learning more about RMDs in general, hit yes on that poll, and we'll be glad to get back with you. If need be, we can put you in touch with Dave and his team to set up a quick 15, 20-minute conversation about, RMDs are, I'm guessing from a radio standpoint, Dave, if you talk to folks and you're on the radio and you say, hey, if you're interested in ways to avoid, paying taxes on RMD or defer paying taxes on your RMDs, I bet the phone would ring off the hook on your radio show about that.
No, it does. RMDs are really, that's a very hot subject right now. Mm-hmm. So what happens is that, and we do bring it up, and we do get a lot of calls that come in from that, and Social Security, and in-service non-hardship withdrawal plans. I mean, there's some hot buttons in there about those things. So, no, you got to understand the process as an advisor to really help your client. But you know what? It's having that knowledge is just so important. In the educational series of webinars that we have with IAMS, hopefully that helps people. And if you have questions, certainly call in IAMS. And what's the phone number of IAMS again, Steve?
800-255-5055. Just give a call and ask for your sales director. Ask for me if you like. I'm Steve Murray. If I can't answer a question, we'll find out the answer for you. And your sales director will do the same. And Dave he's always really handy for reference. And if you want to know more about radios or Social Security seminars or qualified funds seminars and things like that, Dave's got some great coaching and great efforts that can really help you grow your business that way.
You bet. Well, thank you, everybody, for taking time today. Certainly, we're going to keep the poll open for about 10 more seconds, but I hope you call in. I hope we can answer questions for you specifically around RMDs and help you plan for that pre-retired and retired folks that a lot of you work with. So just have a really great rest of your week. And Steve, you can sign off here.
Yep. All right, folks. Thank you for joining us here at IAMS. Our specialty is helping you grow your business, whether that's helping you with some product knowledge or helping you with some knowledge of ways to meet more clients via seminars, radio, what have you, or just knowing a little bit more about the things that are important to them, Social Security, MedSup, information, RMDs. We're glad to be of service to you at any point. So thank you for joining us here this morning. Thank you, Dave. Like I said, I know you're chock full of appointments, so I appreciate you taking a little bit of time out of your schedule. And thank you all for taking some time to join us here today and for looking to IAMS for help as you grow your business. Have a great finish to your sales week. And if we don't talk to you all before, have a great Memorial Day.
Thanks, everybody.